Hello, everyone. Welcome to the weekly show of Classroom Without Walls. My name is AI. I'm the CEO of Classroom Without Walls and the host of this weekly live streaming show. You can also listen to us on the traditional audio-only podcast. Just search Classroom Without Walls, a school for entrepreneurs. On this show, I interview leading digital marketers, social media professionals, business leaders, content creators, videographers to come here to share with us their best practices so that we can future-proof our business. Today, I have my friend Keith Helfrich on the show to talk about how to build our dream team. And this is kind of where I am right now, still being a solopreneur, and I am trying to build a team so that I can grow my business to a new level. I can delegate more tasks to other people. So you are going to learn from today's interview regarding what makes a team ideal and how do we form a team and what are the intersections between team building and company culture and what are the four major pillars of an organizational culture and how can you implement each of the four pillars and so much more. So for those of you who don't know who is Keith, he is a business transformation coach and he helps organizations big and small to develop strong teams so that they don't hate each other, but they love working together and achieve high performance. I think that is what we all want to have as business leaders, company owners. And so make sure you stay for the entire interview. And as always, a big shout out to StreamYard for being a sponsor of our show over the last 4 years. I have tried almost all the third-party tools out there to go live on social media. StreamYard is my personal favorite. It is so easy to use, and they have the best customer service. So I have a discount code in the comment section if you are interested in checking them out for free for 2 weeks. So feel free to use my discount code. And we're live on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on YouTube, on Twitch, on Periscope. And let me know in the comment section where you guys are joining us live from, social media-wise and geographically speaking. And without any further ado, welcome to the show, Keith.
Hi, it's great to be here. I'm not quite sure I can do what you do, but it's great to be here.
Oh my God, I love your energy.
Great to be joining your audience today.
Thank you so much. The honor is all mine. So I can't wait to learn more about team building. I know you are an expert on this area. So I have lots of questions. So I can't wait to dive in. So help us get to know you a little bit more. You have a very successful career. So share with us your journey to get to where you are today and what inspired you to do what you are doing today.
Well, thank you, It's really a pleasure to be here, and thanks for inviting me and having me on as a guest. Just a little bit about me. I started my career a long time ago at Chrysler. And the interesting thing at Chrysler back then was, this is back when actually Lee Iacocca was saving Chrysler for the first time. It's been saved many times. But we were always the underdog. Sure, for all of you entrepreneurs and solopreneurs out there like Dr. I, Chrysler's a really big company. But compared to its competitors, it's a small company. And so we were always challenged, just like all of us as entrepreneurs, to do things better, faster, and maybe less expensively.
Yeah.
And so what happened is we discovered that teams were the best way for us to win. And so that's what brings me to sharing some things today that I've learned. I've been an entrepreneur now for about 15 years in different fashions, and consulting and coaching and working with many different organizations, big and small, as I says, from solopreneurs to companies that are maybe not quite as big as Chrysler, but a good size. And so what I'd like to share today are some things that I've learned through all of this. I became motivated to share some of the successes that enabled me to be successful in the corporate environment, but also in the entrepreneurial environment. And believe it or not, there are more things in common than sometimes we think.
That's exciting. Yeah, definitely. So interesting. It reminds me of a coaching call I did a few days ago. And we have a group of people from different countries doing different businesses in different industries. It is surprisingly shocking to all of us that we all have the same struggles, the same challenges. So I definitely believe you. And guess what? Our friend Carl is here. Carl is the person who connected us. So thank you.
Hey, Carl, thank you for being here, and thank you for connecting Dr. I and myself.
Yeah, for connecting us. Yeah. So Keith, you mentioned the success. We all kind of know, building a team is amazing. Everyone is a team, teamwork. But can you actually share some specific, tangible benefits of actually having a strong team? I think this is especially relevant for solopreneurs, for entrepreneurs, small business owners to hear, because oftentimes this is something that I struggle so much with. I think I'm the best at everything. It's very hard to take a task away from me. I see if you millions of dollars away from me. So share with us, what are some tangible benefits of building a dream team, an ideal team?
Sure. So I'm gonna, as we go along today, I'm gonna do some drawing back here. I have some paper behind me. And the one way to think of it, at least at first, is what we call breaking down silos, right? Everybody's heard about that. And as entrepreneurs, we sometimes think we don't have any silos in our business, but actually we do. And so just, if you think about these silos, and I'll draw some silos here, we might have our product group, and we might have our sales and marketing group, right? And we might have our social media group. And what happens, whether we're in a big corporation or our own small business, is we end up dedicating time across these three. And we have, maybe as entrepreneurs, we have expertise in these three. But we end up becoming dedicated to one at any given time, because that's the priority. And what teams help us do is break down these silos, or really we become plumbers. We become plumbers. As plumbers, we're building pipes across these silos. And what we want to try to do is connect people. And in connecting people, we're connecting expertise. And so as entrepreneurs, truly, we really only have an expertise in some of these areas. Like I says, we think we're good at everything. We're really not. There are always people better at certain categories here than we are. And so in whether it's a big corporation where there really are silos and literally walls between these groups, back at Chrysler when I started, we used to call it throwing the work over the wall. The product team would throw the new product over the wall to the sales and marketing team to figure out how to communicate it. And what happened was we became better product engineers and developers, and we became better sales and marketing people when we started to talk all the way through the process. And we were able to feed back to the product team what the customer is saying, right? We'll hear about voice of the customer, but the product team was also able to share with us the deep thought that went into their product development. And so as we broke down these walls and built this plumbing, these pipes, all of a sudden we became faster and better, and we started to respect each other. And recognize that, hey, these people over here, these engineers, have some really neat expertise that they can share with us as we go to market. And so the same thing with us here as entrepreneurs. This is, frankly, while my firm isn't all about teams, we end up talking about teamwork every day. And just quickly to clarify for everybody, teams mean different things to different people. What I'm talking about here is maybe a cross-functional team. Some people talk about their whole organization, a big company, as a team. That's a neat way to think, right? We all hear about the I, there's no I in team and all of that. So some people refer to their whole organization as a team. Some people refer to their department as a team. Some people refer to their work group as a team. Some people refer to just a small project team working on a special project as a team. Sure, they're all teams. But again, we can learn from each one. And obviously with I's focus here on the entrepreneurs and herself as a solopreneur, I'll do my very best today to focus on the small teams. Maybe we'll think of it as a special project team or a work team working together to accomplish something faster, smarter, better.
Yeah, I love everything you mentioned. And, for me, coming from that education background, I see how every single discipline, every single department is so siloed, right? We don't even talk to each other. And we end up speaking the same language. Only the people in our silo actually understand what we're talking about. Nobody's checking on the assumptions that we're making. So I love this. And I think, especially nowadays with this global pandemic, right? Many people like me, I actually have been working with people from all over the globe, from different countries. So I think this makes team building even more challenging and even more important, right? To make sure despite the time zone differences, language barriers, cultural differences. So this makes, this inter-team generation and just building this strong team even more important and challenging at the same time.
I agree. And again, as solopreneurs and all of us working from home, we've lost a lot of the connection, and we thrive on connecting with each other. And so, again, this is why I appreciate you hosting this, but also the importance of teams, whether they're virtual or physical. It gives us a sense of belonging. And when we belong, it's like another family. Sure, we have our home family, but if we belong to a family in our workspace, whether that's inside of a big corporation, we might not feel a whole lot of connection until we're on a smaller team. And if we're entrepreneurs working from home or working largely on our own, being connected with other entrepreneurs and partners in our space, and I want to talk about that in a minute, partners in our space, we can have a virtual team without necessarily hiring anybody. And so we often talk in our space here as entrepreneurs about building a partner network. And that partner network is a way of forming a team even without making the investment and the dedication to hiring somebody. So often we think about going from a solopreneur to 1 + 1, just 2. We think of that being hiring somebody. And yet I see entrepreneurs as some of the most effective team builders there ever are, because entrepreneurs have to do more with less. And so entrepreneurs are almost we're all looking for partners. We're looking to connect, and we're looking to make that win-win. And so I think that mindset that we bring as entrepreneurs is something that is unique. It's something that doesn't happen in bigger corporations. And the bigger corporations that do behave more entrepreneurially, they benefit from that mindset of partnering, creating the win-win, creating shared goals, and finding a way to if I can't build it, where can I partner? Who can I partner with to do this for?
Exactly. I love it. How can we figure this out together, right?
That's
Exactly.
right.
Exactly. I also love how you mentioned this sense of belonging. And I remember this was quite a few years ago. We all know Maslow has this hierarchy of needs, right? The very basic is physical needs, but actually that model has been deconstructed and reconstructed. So now people are proposing it looks more like a circle, not a triangle shape, this hierarchy. But like now as a circle, they argue that the basic human needs is actually not physical needs, it's a sense of belonging. And the example they use is that when you look at babies, right? Even though the baby is really hungry, if you have a stranger to come to feed the baby milk, the baby actually refuses to take the milk, which happened to both of my kids. It's not even a stranger, just my husband and my parents-in-law and the grandparents. And the baby chose to starve until I come back home. That sense of belonging, I'm familiar with my mom. So it is really, really interesting how you also brought up this sense of belonging. I think it's such a great point.
It's very important. I'm going to just go one place beyond that because, again, as entrepreneurs, chances are all of you entrepreneurs who are listening and watching today have some partnerships that you've formed. And an important part of these partnerships, we tend to search and find them for functional reasons. In my business, we focus on helping develop workplace cultures and providing leadership training to help support and put the foundation under that. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a bit. But as you can imagine, most of our projects begin with an assessment. We continue then through a lot of activities on site, bringing people together, ultimately sharing ideas and forming teams very organically, very quickly, and as many participants would say, rather haphazardly, and that's with some intention. But also, so in my group, in my affiliated network of partners, I have a partner who provides assessment tools and is an expert in assessment tools. Have I built some? Has my firm built some? Sure. But in partnering together, we've been able to help each other. That's one of those win-wins. So there's a functional need I have for these assessments, but it just so happens that the owner of the assessment firm I've partnered with is the realist. I call Phil the realist, or sometimes even the naysayer in my business. And so what I want to talk through are, while we have business partnerships, if in each of those businesses we find somebody who shares a passion for our business, he or she can become a valued partner beyond the function that we initially met for, because we usually play two roles. And so in the case of, again, my assessment partner, Phil is the naysayer, the realist for me and my business. In the case of, we do a lot of instructional design for the leadership workshops that we provide. So I've partnered with a leadership design firm, instructional design firm. Again, my partner there, Mel, kind of my lead partner, is for my firm our technologist. And so he's helped play this secondary role. I also am a member. Part of the way I connect is with a trade association. Well, it happens to be that the person I just connect with the best at this trade association, Joe, plays almost a secondary role in my business as the analyst. And so we all have these what are called superpowers. And so here is, Paul playing the superpower of, he's bringing his superpower of relationship building into my business. Mel is bringing his superpower of the technologist. Phil is bringing his superpower of being the realist, because as entrepreneurs, we all know we can have our blinders on.
Absolutely.
We're the ultimate optimists, right? We're always pushing for more. We always know we're on the right path. But these teams, they can be informal. They can help us take the blinders off and see things that as solopreneurs and entrepreneurs, we can't see. And that's immensely helpful to us in transferring from kind of a startup to a more mature, robust business.
I mean, totally. And not just that, besides the blind spots, I totally agree. I mean, I think another factor is time, right? We only have so much time. If we are doing every single thing ourselves, how can we even have the time to work on the business as opposed to be working in the business all the time? This is my biggest aha, even before I went live, you and I were talking about. So I now host the 3 live streaming shows. I really love them. They are amazing lead gen tools for my business. I love them, but they are taking so much of my time. So I'm finally outsourcing this so that I can really have more time to create awesome content to work on my course for my students. So I so agree with you. And I want to dive into a little bit more of the specifics. And I remember earlier this year, I always listen to James Whitmore. I really love him. He's such a great coach. So he mentioned in one episode, your podcast episode, that so many people, they're complaining about there are no good employees out there, no good team players out there. Everyone's the good ones. They all start their own business, blah, blah, blah. But he said something that resonated so much with me, which is A players does not want to work for B level leaders. I was like, oh yeah, right. So if I want to attract A players as team members to my company, I need to power up and my own game to become an A leader. So share with us, what can we do from the organization leader's perspective to create this ideal environment to form an ideal team, right? So what can we do from our side to facilitate that to happen?
So, that's just a great point. That A, B is something talked about in a lot of different formats, right? A players don't want to work for B leaders. B players don't want to be on a C team, whatever it might be. What I find again is it's the right people at the right time. And what I'd actually like to do is, again, take a minute here and I'm going to peel this sheet, because this is an important part of what I'm wanting to cover today. And this is actually identifying the right culture for your organization at the right time. And culture means a lot of things to a lot of people. And I'd like to share a way to think about it here that we'll call the culture clock. And so I'll make this as big as I can. I hope everybody can see this. So there's some studies that identify 4 basic business archetypes of culture. The first one is called the create culture. The second one is the compete culture. The third one is the control culture. And the fourth one is the collaborative culture. And I call this the culture clock, and we're going to scribble all over this as we go along here. I call this the culture clock, pardon me, because in many cases, we think about this as a startup, and we create some new product or service. And we go around the clock, and we want to go out in the marketplace and compete with our competitors to win business, win new customers. Again, competing in the market to win new customers. As we do that, we tend to want to come around the clock to controlling the processes so that we're able to meet expectations and actually deliver on what we promise. Isn't that always a good thing? As we do that, we start to want to come around to being a little bit more collaborative and engaging more of the team to take on that product or that service so that we can come around as entrepreneurs and come back to the create space. And so these cultures work several ways, and we're going to talk about this a little bit. So first, there's just the clock and the way to think about, we create a product, we compete and take it to the marketplace. We want to control it and make it better and make it right, and then be able to turn it over to the team to run with it. Let's just add some dimensions to this because, again, these cultures have a lot of meaning. The create culture is all about what? It's all about doing things first. The compete culture, to win in the marketplace, this is all about doing things what? Fast. We want to be fast. The control culture, now we're trying to put the constraints and the bounds and the processes in place. We want to do things right. We all know as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're first and we're really fast, but we're still kind of in beta mode when we go out there. And so we want to evolve to doing it right. And finally, as we move to the collaborate culture, this is about what? Doing it together. So this is about together. And so, again, we can think about this as an evolution of a business, right? We start creating, competing, controlling, and collaborating. But as businesses settle down and mature and become robust, we tend to settle into one of these quadrants as defining our business, the way things work around here, who we are. Remember, a culture is like our personality. This isn't the business strategy now. This is the culture. This is how we work. So there's one other thing that I'd like to bring up with this because it helps bring this together again. Of course, when we're creating, our focus is about innovation. What are we doing? This is the space of innovation. When we're competing, we're in the space of growth. When we're controlling, we're in the space of process, right? We're trying to establish standard processes. And finally, when we're collaborating, we're in the focus on people. And so oftentimes as entrepreneurs, we think of ourselves and talk about ourselves as innovators. And chances are that's what got us going in the first place. But we quickly want to get out and sell something. So we start moving here because we want to grow, right? We want to grow our business. As we grow our business, we start to make some promises to customers and things can get a little chaotic, right? You've lived it. I've lived it. And so we start to find some ways to put some processes in place so that our product or our service is more standardized and every customer is able to experience the same great experience. And then finally, we want to collaborate to bring together that team so that we're working together on this. Just one other aspect about this, which is how do we measure success in each of these cultures? Well, in creating, we're all about being different. And so our success is about differentiating. I'll write the full word there, differentiating. Down here in competing, success is all about what? Winning, right? When we compete, we want to win. So this is all about winning. When we're controlling, how is our success measured? It's all about optimizing. And there are, again, lots of aspects to this optimizing. It could be optimizing our costs, our speed, our delivery, our timing, whatever it might be, it's optimizing. When we're up here and collaborating, Now our success is about integrating all of this, integrating the breadth and depth of what a team can help us establish. So this is all about integrating. And so this is a little bit of a long way of answering I's question, but I think this is really important because it starts to define who are we looking for to join our team at a certain time. So again, as an entrepreneur, we tend to start up here in creating. And we're focused on being first and innovating and differentiating ourselves from our competitors. So who do we want on our team? Well, if we all look alike, we're never going to be done, right? We know how it is. We know the adage of the engineer has never perfected the perfect mousetrap. The mousetrap can always be made better. So if we all think alike, if we're all the same, we'll never move from creating to competing. We'll never get to the marketplace. And many firms who are focused as a team of engineers, we know that they can always make it better. And they just don't want to turn it over to the sales team to get out and sell it, because don't you know, we can make it better tomorrow than it is today. Mm-hmm. So as we start our business and we're creating, we want to have some help in innovation and piloting, but we should start thinking about adding some people who are competitors to our team, because those competitors will bring the real world to our experience. They'll help pull us from this create section to being ready to compete. They're going to help move us there. And they'll be the realist. Remember, I said Phil on my team is the naysayer, the realist. He's the naysayer because I was stuck up here and he was helping drag me down here, because he's like, Keith, it's good enough. 85% is good enough. Let's go. And I was like, no, it's not. We can keep tweaking it. Same thing when we're down here focused on competing. This is a great time to start to add some control, some people who are good at control. Maybe there's some folks with an operational background or a Six Sigma background, or, heaven forbid, our accountant or our finance person, right? We think of them, in fact, their high-level title is the controller. And so it's a good time when we're competing to begin to add somebody with this controlling mindset to our team, because he or she will help round us out, make us more real, and ultimately improve our competitiveness while they're helping us get ready for the next stage. Finally, when we're controlling, this is a great time to add some collaborators, some real team players, some people who build those pipes across the silos, so that we don't over control the business and get stuck here, that we build the team that can take it to the next level. So again, long answer to your question, Dr. I, but this is a really important topic, and an important topic to companies large and small. Again, the culture clock. This becomes the core of what it is that I work with companies of all sizes on. A couple of other things to talk about with this. Sometimes we hear about there's a culture clash. There's a culture clash between our businesses. Well, think about where the clash is here. The clash, and I'm going to get a different color. The clash is across the corners. We can't create and control at the same time. The controllers will stop us as we're trying to create. We know that the people who compete can help us create, and help us create even faster. But there's a real clash. We can't come across these two. It just doesn't work. Likewise, being competitive and collaborating are almost antonyms. They almost mean the opposite thing. If we're competitive, if we build a real compete culture, we're all about winning and being first and being best and being fast and growing. That's like the exact opposite of collaborating. And so, when we hear that term culture clash, that's what we're talking about. And so, again, as entrepreneurs, as business people, if we're looking to grow our team and grow our organization and grow our business, let's not, we need to look for team players who share the culture that we're in and can maybe help us move to the next culture around the clock. Now, again, we might start to create and work our way around, but we're never done. Most businesses land somewhere. And let's just use a set of examples that we all know well. Let's think about Apple. Where do we think Apple lands? Well, their mantra is disrupting the status quo. What does that sound like? Sounds a lot like creativity.
Innovation.
Right. So I think we have Apple up here. What about Facebook? Facebook is always out to disrupt the traditional media. So they're competing, right? They're right down here. They're a very strong compete culture, and that's what they're all about. What about Amazon? We think of Amazon as innovative, and we think about them as competing, but you know what their focus is on right now? Their focus is on doing things faster, doing things right, optimizing every little piece of their business. So Amazon is really down here focused on controlling. And finally, Google, right? Finally, Google. What is Google all about? Google's all about collaborating. Yes, they're innovative. Yes, they compete. Yes, they control things, but they're all about working as a team and working together to break down the walls and break down the silos. So Google is up here. And so as we think about these big four companies, the big four tech companies that we talk about so often and admire and try to analyze and understand, they actually have four very different cultures. And so this culture clash works in a lot of dimensions, not only in the people that we attract, right? So who is Apple going to attract? They're going to attract innovators and people who like to be first and do new things. Who is Facebook going to attract? They're going to attract people who are competitive and like winning. That's who they're all about. Likewise, Amazon and Google, I don't have to overemphasize this. But again, in building a team and growing our businesses, this is really, there's just a lot of keys here. And I know it's a big scribble right now, but I didn't know where I was going to take this today and what order she was going to do it in. So I like to scribble instead of having slides all pre-made up, because then it's just not as spontaneous and not as meaningful as this.
I am loving this, Keith. This, everybody in the live audience, there's like, this is amazing, good stuff. This is amazing. Seriously, I think you really have nailed the entire system. I can look into my own business, right? Starting from creating, innovating, trying to disrupt education, starting my own school, and then competing, validating my concept in the market, have competitors. And then right now, that's exactly where I am. I'm building like processes, systems to streamline, to optimize everything. And remember what I told you, I'm hiring someone to collaborate with me so that I can scale, optimize everything more. This is exactly the roadmap for so many people's businesses. This is so great. Did you develop this, or I'm just curious? This is genius.
I have developed a significant part of this and really taken it to its next dimension. And so this is, again, we could flip pages and pages back on how this can apply. It can apply to hiring people, right? It can certainly apply to hiring people. There's some people who really like to, let's just, they like to punch in and punch out. They like to come in, follow the processes, do what they're not necessarily told to do, but what maybe some standard work might describe. They thrive in a controlling culture. People who we might hire, if we're a controlling culture, if we hire people who love to try new things, and for them it's okay to make mistakes, that those people aren't going to do well here. It's like, hey, wait, I want to do this. I have this idea how we could make our process better. I'm here for the process, except I'm really very creative. And don't you know, sometimes when we do new things, it doesn't work right. That person is going to be seen as not fitting in around here.
Oh my God, you nailed it, my friend. Exactly. I am a totally creative kind of in the flow. That's why, I love taking risks, even though I don't know how this journey is going to unfold. I was like, I'm in. But my husband is like the controlling. He's all into details. It's like optimizations. We just like couldn't get along in the early stages of my business. He's taking too many risks, right? So now I need someone like him. So, this is so amazing. So I have a question. So for the clashes, are there ways, right? I love how you mentioned, collaborative cannot really coexist with competitive and creative and controlling. There are also kind of tensions. So are there ways that we can overcome or reduce the tension to have them coexist?
So usually, again, the best way is to hire people or add people to our team in the next box around from where we are today. If we're in a very controlling space, we want to add people to the team, again, be it a cross-functional team in a big organization or even a partner organization if we're an entrepreneur. So if we're in a controlling environment right now, if we can add to the team somebody who's a team player, right? We hear the term a team player. If we can add that team player, namely a collaborator, he or she will help usually ease the tension, because people who thrive up here they want to get along. They're influencers. They find ways to decrease the stress and decrease the tension and bring people together. And so again, oftentimes in a controlling environment, for example, there's a lot of screaming and shouting because again, the organization wants to do things right. And people have different opinions about how to do things right. And so there gets to be, in bigger organizations, engineering, process engineers may be fighting with design engineers about which way to do things right. And so again, if we can bring in somebody who's a collaborator and inject them and add them to the team, again, back to the team dynamics, that person will naturally, by their very nature, decrease the stress that's going on here and help pull the whole organization up to becoming more collaborative. And in doing that, the organization will start to grow again and get out of this trap of kind of stuck on the treadmill, arguing about what is the right way to do things.
Yeah, and this also shows me like the beauty of diversity, right? Not only in terms of skin color, but we need people who are innovative, people who are collaborative, people who are really into processes. We need every single person to keep this entire organization thriving, right?
That's right. But also, as we look, again, as entrepreneurs, as we look for companies to partner with, right, before we're ready to hire somebody, if we're looking for companies that make the best partners, we want to think the same way. There will be if we can find a partner with a common culture, we're going to say, wow, this is just a match made in heaven. And so again, if our real focus is to be first and to be a create-oriented organization, if we partner with other organizations that are all about creative, we're going to say, wow, we get together and all kinds of light bulbs go off, all kinds of ahas happen. We have so much fun playing in the sandbox and coming up with new ideas.
That's right.
Whereas if, if we find a partner, or I'll tell you, this is even true of customers. If we find customers who share our culture, we're going to just get along great, because we'll see things the same way. There won't be us and them, it'll be we. And so this is not just thinking about us as entrepreneurs or the organization that we're building and how we want it to behave, but also the kinds of people that we want to hire and attract, and the kinds of customers that we hire and attract. All of this starts to work in parallel.
Oh, I love it.
It gives us a great growth map, pardon me, for growing our business, growing our organization. And
you have simplified a very complicated issue for all of us. I really want to thank you, because this is so clear. This is so amazing. This is so, like, I can easily duplicate this to almost every single culture, organization, and even like family, right? In the family, we have kids who are like each of us, if we look at a family like a small organization. And what you just shared with me, Keith, also reminds of me, personality, value test, right? So we can, from those personality and value assessment, we can see this person by nature is more into love, working with people, right? So like, I can see how important it is to incorporate this into the traditional kind of education, to not only design career path based on academic performance, but actually also based on their unique characteristics and traits, personality-wise. So beautiful, right? To if they can match this, right? Alignment.
Yes. So again, we often focus, when we are searching for a new job or a new opportunity, we kind of open up our field of vision. And if we understand ourselves, and if we think about which of these do we best really fit into, and then do some exploration, some investigation into those organizations, we'll find an organization where we're a natural fit. And we can almost, we've all worked for different companies over time. And sometimes you just say, well, that person really doesn't fit around here. Now, on the other hand, she really fits. And when we understand that fit means that we enjoy the attributes, the behaviors that all fit into these cultures.
Totally.
If I'm a person who is afraid of sticking my neck out, maybe afraid of making a mistake, I probably am not up here, right? I might be somewhere else. If I'm a very competitive salesperson, I want to win, I want to be first, I want to be recognized for getting the most numbers, I want to work for a firm that's all about competition, and focusing on growth, right? And winning. And I'll be rewarded. I'll have a wall full of awards and rewards, and everything works, right? Everything works.
I love it. I can definitely see which part I need to outsource. I really enjoy being the innovator, creative. I need to outsource, compete, and control and collaborating. I love this. So we have a really great comment from Dan, join us live. Thank you. He said this is he works still in the corporate. He said this is super interesting. So what do you think about entrepreneurs? I think people who have this entrepreneurial spirit, they like doing things within the organization. Is that a real concept, or is it just something employers trying to make it seem like they are giving more agency? Is there a way to nurture those employees who are, slash entrepreneurs? Yeah.
Right. No, it's a great question. And so this is a question that plagues me. This is how I evolved from a corporate career to much more of an entrepreneurial career, because truly I enjoy all of these and I thrive in all of these. And so I think, to answer the question, organizations need to conduct certain assessments to help people understand themselves better. And in doing that, help us grow and help us move the organization and grow the organization while we're growing ourselves and being who we naturally are. And so again, entrepreneurs often do bring attributes of all four of these, because as I started out our session here, she loves to do it all herself. And time management is a real issue. We, as entrepreneurs, we never have enough hours in the day, never have enough time in the week to get everything done that we want to do. We try to make 24 hours into 27 into 30. And so if we're able to inject some of that entrepreneurial blood inside of an organization, it can help the organization move forward. However, again, it's important to understand, where is the organization? If the organization is a controlling organization, and as an entrepreneur, we're trying to pull them all the way up to create, we're going to try to do something too fast, that's too hard, that truly the organization isn't prepared for, isn't able to accept, and they'll push back on us. And so the question is a great question. By injecting the entrepreneurial spirit we hear into an existing organization, as an entrepreneur, there's a burden on us to understand, where is the organization, and let's not try to pull it someplace as an entrepreneur that is too giant of a leap for it to take in one big leap. It needs to move first. If we see the opportunity to move toward a more create culture, we need to first collaborate and come together and recognize each other and understand each other and appreciate each other's diversity and skills and backgrounds and experience and culture before we're ready to come around the clock and create again. And so again, in many bigger companies, this is very powerful, by the way, in the merger and acquisition field, right? We see many bigger companies buying or acquiring or partnering with smaller startups, because they're attracted to what? In many cases, sure, they're attracted to the product or the service, but what else do we hear about often? We like that small firm's culture. We like their culture. But what happens when big organizations swallow smaller ones? They usually crush the culture. And that culture that they were so attracted to just gets squashed by the bigger organization. So oftentimes, our team will work with organizations that are in an M&A situation or have recently acquired a small firm to build a culture bridge, so that the two organizations can help each other build the best of breed and gain respect for how each other works, and be able to take the best of both and build something new that is better than either one by itself. And that starts to form a synergy that is unusual. Often those synergies are written down as numbers in an acquisition or merger, and they never come to pass. And they never come to pass because of a culture clash, because of this. These organizations are at the opposite corners.
Yeah. Oh, you just explain everything so clearly. I think this is a much better way to explain, to understand organization culture visually, right? I oftentimes, when we talk about organizational culture, I just feel it's like woo-woo stuff, right? Everyone's saying like, I'm days where team building, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't really mean anything. I couldn't really see profound implications at the more specific execution level, right? So what you just like explain to us is so powerful. We can literally see how this culture is really the fuel for the entire organization. Is affecting decision-making, hiring, team building, and product development. So powerful. I also love how you said assessment, right? Organization need to get to know their employees, like who they are. Like I feel like I never worked in the corporate, but do you think like most, based on my understanding, I feel like few organizations are actually doing this. They assess their employees only look at job performance, but how many of them are actually evaluating their employees based on their value, personality? Are you happy? Like a more softer side than the specific, checkbox performance. Are you familiar with that? I'm curious.
I'm just going to say that's a newly developing field. It's recognized again that, hey, this finding the right people is a big priority for all of us. Just like, again, us as solopreneurs or entrepreneurs, we're trying to find the right group or team to partner with, company to partner with, or fellow entrepreneur to partner with. The finding the right people to hire in an organization. We all know the cost of that is excessive. The time invested in hiring somebody, onboarding somebody, training somebody, and bringing them up to performance level takes a long time on the supervisor and manager's part. And then to have that great resource, that great person leave because he or she is misaligned with not only the culture, but the way that they're measured. Their performance evaluation usually reflects this. And so if, again, I keep picking on these two, but if we're in I'll pick on these two this time. If we're in a very competitive culture and we hire somebody who's a collaborator, chances are this person is going to become very frustrated because he or she wants to work together, and the culture is built all around competing and being fast. And so there will be this clash, and chances are our collaborator is going to leave because he or she sees that they don't fit. And yet the opportunity for them to help us is tremendous. And so I think you're on a developing field.
I mean, like,
there are assessments. I'll just add one thing. There are assessments. Many of us who've been hired have gone through different assessments. Think even about job descriptions. Job descriptions tend to describe the hard skills associated with the job, the specific skills. They don't talk about the soft skills, the leadership skills, as I call them. And so there is a building recognition that there are hard skills, and then there are skills in terms of the organizational fit. And so assessing that, there are different tools, but organizations are slow in adapting them. Again, this is something that we work with in the leadership development that we provide, is helping leaders really understand where are they, where should their organization be so that they're able to accomplish the performance goals that they have, because most organizations, face it, really don't hit their goals. And there's some reason. Chances are it's not as business related as it is people related. And if we can peel the layer of the onion, as I have here, to understand more about the people side of the business, it creates ahas. And so, to your point, there are assessment tools beginning to come out there that help us understand what sort of an organization do I really fit into? What behaviors do I like? Where do I feel comfortable? And then if I'm not quite aligned with the organization, how is it possible to help me develop? Are there certain training programs? Is there certain development activities that I can do to help me become a better fit here, and yet still make my unique contribution? Because we all have a unique contribution to make. And so there's a lot to be, there's a lot to this.
Oh, 100%. I mean, like, we are really just running out of time, but I really want to add, no wonder so many people are not happy at work, right? Like almost, I left my pretty comfortable position, but many of my friends who are still in their teaching position, I don't know anyone who is actually happy. Like nobody. They just like, they don't see any other alternatives. But I wish everybody understood this, or especially from the organization leaders' perspective, they could have better aligned and or placed their employees, so each person can have that alignment. Fascinating stuff, my friend. Oh, this is so good. So good. Like here's great comment from Dan saying that, this talking about assessment you were talking about earlier, the soft side is not currently being reflected in evaluations.
Right.
Most companies still have that top-down approach. I so agree.
Yes. And so again, as we work with organizations on this, we work to align what we call organizational systems, from the performance system to goals, to evaluations, to rewards, to leadership style, right? Think about the leadership style in organizations that each of these needs to be different and behave differently. Likewise, management priorities. It's one thing to be prioritizing being fast and winning down here and compete. It's very different to be prioritizing, hey, we need to do it right. Let's take our time. Let's not be as fast. We're going to do it right and make sure we follow the process that we know delivers us the right product or service repeatedly. And so again, this is tied in our goal. And as organizations begin to understand this more, is to build all of the organization systems around supporting this, so that as employees, we understand what are appropriate behaviors and what are inappropriate behaviors in the organization in order to be successful. So I hope you have that we got. I mean, there are things to go from this about teams, and perhaps we could continue on a part 2 of teams in another session. I would certainly enjoy that.
I'd love to do that. Now I understand better what you do. It's so profound. I think this is probably the best conversation I have had on my show for a while. So I really enjoy this conversation, learn a lot. So to respect your time, so share with us, Keith, where can people learn more about you? This is awesome. So share with us your social media handle. I have your website here. I showed you LinkedIn earlier, but just in case people missed it, so share with us again. Where can people get a hold of you?
Oh, just please reach out to me on LinkedIn. I'll be glad to connect. Just mention our show here today, Classroom Without Walls, and I will connect, and we can start a conversation. I would enjoy that. I welcome that. LinkedIn is our networking central, right? So let's connect on LinkedIn. Thank you, for that opportunity.
Oh my God, of course, my friend learned so much. And what a fascinating conversation. I hope you guys are going to go back, take a screenshot of that chart there, and make sure you credit Keith. Amazing conversation. I can definitely see how I can apply this not only to my own business, but to actually working with my students to understand where is an ideal career path for them based on their personality. So thank you so much, Keith, for teaching us so much, dropping so much value. And thank you so much, everyone, for joining us live from all over the globe. And I really love you guys. I appreciate every one of you. And I hope to see you again next Wednesday or Thursday, the same time, same location. I have another amazing guest for you next week. So thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening or afternoon or morning. Bye.
Thank you, Thank you all.